Ross receives a serious warning from Charity in Emmerdale next week, following the intense labour storyline. But will he agree to stay away from baby Leyla? Charity believes there's a genuine risk of Ross growing close to his secret daughter after helping bring her into the world in recent episodes. Wanting to stay in control, she firmly tells him to back off. The tension unfolds as baby Leyla returns home after her dramatic birth. Once Charity completes the paperwork, Sarah and Jacob begin a new journey as they're finally allowed to bring Leyla home. Farah's barn is beautifully prepared to welcome Leyla, and everyone is in high spirits, at least in the beginning. When Ross arrives at the gathering, the mood between him and Charity is extremely tense. Charity clearly wants Ross to stay away, although his strong ties to the family make that difficult. Pulling Ross aside, Charity advises him not to become too emotionally involved with the baby. Ever since he helped deliver Leyla in the hospital lift, there's been a concern he might start seeing her as his own. Later, when Moses asks Ross to join a family photo, Charity anxiously waits to see what he'll do. Ross listens to Charity's worries and insists that he isn't part of Leyla's family. While this isn't actually true, most people there are unaware of the reality. After refusing to join the photo, Ross makes an excuse and leaves, giving Charity hope that he understands her message. Last year, a DNA test revealed that Ross is Leyla's biological father. He and Charity had a secret encounter, which disrupted the original surrogacy arrangement involving Charity, Jacob and Sarah. At the moment, Jacob and Sarah believe Leyla was conceived through IVF and is their biological child. However, with Dr. Todd now knowing the truth, it may not be long before everything is turned upside down. Sinister Dr. Todd manipulates baby Leyla to target Jacob in a disturbing Emmerdale spoiler clip. Jacob is left shaken in Emmerdale next week after an uncomfortable encounter with Dr. Todd while leaving the hospital with baby Leyla. Todd had previously agreed to start over after medical student Jacob chose to drop a complaint he had filed against his so-called mentor who had been tormenting him for months. As viewers know, the ruthless doctor has made Jacob's life miserable since he began working full-time at the hospital, constantly putting him down, making him doubt every decision, and destroying his confidence. Frustrated with the situation, Jacob decided to take action by reporting Todd to HR last week. However, Todd gained the advantage when she stepped in to help Charity, who had just given birth to the baby she was carrying for Jacob and granddaughter Sarah. Todd then twisted the situation, convincing Jacob that lives could be at risk in the future if she lost her job because of his complaint. When Jacob refused to give in, Todd finally secured power by discovering the truth about baby Leyla's parentage, especially that Jacob is not the biological father. Around the time the embryo transfer failed, Charity had a secret encounter with Ross, leading everyone to believe the pregnancy was still the result of the procedure. Wanting to give Sarah the child she had always dreamed of, Charity kept quiet about the truth that the baby was not actually hers and Jacob's. With this information in hand, Todd quickly used it to blackmail Charity, pressuring her to convince Jacob to withdraw his complaint or face the consequences. Charity struggled to persuade Jacob to stop the report, but in the end, he followed her advice and withdrew the complaint. Relieved by the outcome, Todd promised a fresh start when Jacob returns from paternity leave. In upcoming scenes, they come face to face again at the hospital as Jacob and Sarah prepare to take baby Leyla home. Jacob feels uneasy when Todd looks closely at Leyla and remarks that the baby has his eyes, which cannot be true since he is not the biological father. She then praises Jacob, saying his mother would be proud and that he is capable of balancing both parenthood and a demanding medical career. Her sudden kindness leaves Jacob confused and suspicious. Has Todd really changed? It seems unlikely, especially after she hinted that his ordeal is far from over. Although Jacob may get a short break while he's away from work, Todd continues to manipulate events behind the scenes, even involving Vanessa to further her plans. The question remains, how far is Todd willing to go to ruin Jacob? Charity returns to Emmerdale next week after giving birth to baby Leyla, but she's immediately pulled into a tense and potentially damaging situation. Viewers are aware that Charity had been acting as a surrogate for her granddaughter Sarah and her partner Jacob. However, she wasn't carrying their child at all, but her own, and the baby wasn't her husband Max. Charity became pregnant with Ross's child after a brief fling last year and has kept the truth hidden ever since. Unfortunately, Dr. Todd overheard a secret phone call, discovered Leyla's real parentage, and is now using it to blackmail Charity as part of a calculated scheme. In the upcoming episodes, the fear of Charity's secret being revealed hangs over everything, even as the paperwork is completed and Jacob and Sarah take their daughter home. Charity has no doubts about giving up the baby, as previously explained by the actress who plays her. She suggested that Charity sees herself more as someone who carried the baby rather than a mother, and doesn't feel a strong maternal connection. While she cares deeply about her family, she lacks a natural maternal instinct, making it easier for her to let the baby go. She also feels reassured knowing the child will remain close within the family, rather than being far away, which helps her accept the situation. When Charity finally returns home, she's surprised to see everything decorated to celebrate her arrival. The mood is joyful at first, but everything changes when Ross shows up with Moses. The atmosphere quickly becomes tense between Charity and Ross, which is hardly surprising given their secret. After warning him not to become too attached to the baby, things grow even more uncomfortable when Moses asks Ross to take part in a family photo. Ross tells his son that he isn't part of Leyla's family before deciding to leave. This leaves Charity hoping the situation might finally settle, but the threat of Dr. Todd's blackmail continues to loom over her. To make matters worse, Dr. Todd begins getting closer to Vanessa at the Woolpack when they end up on the same darts team. This is the same Vanessa who previously revealed to Mac that Charity was carrying her own baby, not Jacob and Sarah's. With Todd subtly flirting with Vanessa and another darts match on the horizon, it seems she may be planning something bigger. The question now is, what is Dr. Todd really up to? Emmerdale reveals a new alliance for Moira as she sets out to take down Joe Tate. Natalie J. Robb has hinted that her character Moira could form a secret partnership to bring Joe down. Moira is furious next week when she finally learns that Joe was behind the chain of events that led to her recent prison ordeal. The truth is exposed when Robert reveals that Joe forced him into planting incriminating documents on Moira's farm. This caused the police to wrongly believe she was involved in Celia Daniels' human trafficking operation, and the situation escalated further when 2 bodies were later discovered on her land. Driven by anger, Moira turns to one of her most extreme actions and heads to Home Farm with a shotgun, determined to confront Joe. Speaking about the intense scenes, Natalie explained that Moira arrives ready to kill him, forcing him to sit down and demanding a confession. Although Joe tries to deny everything, she is convinced he is responsible. Overcome with rage, she nearly goes through with it, but things don't go that far. Others step in before the situation escalates, and while Joe survives the encounter, Moira makes it clear that she will make his life unbearable from now on. The dangerous confrontation is interrupted, giving Joe a temporary escape. Later, when Moira speaks with Joe's partner Dawn, they begin comparing what they know about his recent actions, hinting that Moira may be planning something more strategic. Natalie suggested that Moira might keep a close watch on Joe while working more quietly behind the scenes. Although he may attempt to win her over, it remains uncertain how things will unfold. She also revealed that while filming, it felt clear that Moira would eventually seek revenge in some form. Moira may even join forces with others to strip Joe of everything he has, leaving him powerless and facing the consequences of his actions. The question now is, has Joe finally underestimated the wrong person? Emmerdale is broadcast on weekday evenings at 8 p.m. on ITV1, with episodes also available to stream on ITVX.